Hi, I'm Monica.
And I'm Mans.
Welcome to Bras Off, Walls Down, a space where women share their real, raw, and unfiltered stories.
No topics off limits. No story too big or too small.
Let's get into it.
Back to the podcast.
Welcome back.
How's everyone today?
Good, yeah.
We have a very special guest today. Monica, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would. We have Jen. I would say, you're my auntie.
I am actually.
Yeah, you're my auntie.
She's another family member.
Yeah.
We've got a good run of family members.
We do. We have interesting family members. Yeah.
And Jen actually has I'm just going to say, we know I'm a crier. I read Jen's notes because she's been kind enough to write out her story because she's got a really beautiful story to share. And I cried. So you can guarantee I'm going to cry through this episode. But before we introduce Jen and go into your story and what you're sharing with us today, we love to ask everyone, what is your most recent I'm just trying to survive life moment?
While working in aged care out in the community, my car fell out with the electric gate. I was halfway through the gate and the client had full control over the gate and didn't realise I was still halfway through. And the gate is one of those that slides from right to left. So I'm at a right angle trying to get out the gate because you all know how busy Lord Street is.
Yeah.
And you can't just drive through really quickly, else you're going to be straight on the main road. So I got halfway through, realised I didn't have time to go forwards or backwards and just had to sit there and wait for the crush.
Oh, no.
Because if I'd have gone any more farther forward, it would have gone in the right-hand side of the door and the glass. So I was trying to think quickly. But usually electric gates have a sensor.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So if anything's in the way, they automatically go backwards, but this didn't happen.
That's the biggest fear.
Well, you ought to see me now every time I go through electric.
Yeah.
In all the 9 years I've worked in community care, I've never had anything like that happen before.
Oh, God.
So I don't know whether she pressed the wrong button on that day.
Yeah.
Or she'd always let me in and let me out. No problem.
Yeah.
But
what was the client's reaction?
Because she still didn't realise. And so the gate is leaning on my car and I'm shouting her name. I'm banging the horn.
Oh, no.
I can't get out. My car, the engine's still running, and then I was shouting. She came. She went, "Is everything all right?" I went, "No, the gate's leaning on my car. I can't go."
Sorry. I always get scared in the bollard gate ones. Yeah, everyone's like, "Don't worry about it. There's sensors." I'm like, "I'll be that one person the sensor won't work for, and it'll crush me."
No, the car can't do a limbo under the.
Yeah, no, it can't. Everyone tells me not to worry. Now I'm going to be more paranoid than ever.
You're like, I've got proof.
Yeah, they don't always work. God, that is a trying to survive moment.
Yes.
Life moment.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Really coined minty moments.
Yes, minty moments.
Minty moments. Before we dive right into the deep depths of your story, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, so I've been living in Australia coming up to 14 years now. Obviously, I'm originally from the UK. I have one daughter, Jade, and 3 stepdaughters, 3 being your cousins.
Yeah.
I'm engaged to be married. I've been with my current partner, Chris, Monica's uncle, 8 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, this is nearly 8 years. This is the 7-year itch. Have you heard about the 7-year itch?
Yeah, we talked about this recently,
and
actually.
I said, please just get through it. Because I thought it was last year and I got it wrong. I thought, phew, we've got through it. And now it's this year. So, come on, nearly there. I think, it's October.
Yeah.
But your Uncle Chris, actually, we met Halloween.
Really?
And I was dressed as Poison Ivy. I had a big dark red on, and she got the better of me.
Yeah.
And I think he fell for Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
So if the 7-year itch, if it does start coming, you just need to get the.
Oh yeah, just go back to on Halloween.
Yeah, I've still got hanging up in the
pull
all the eyes
back
and,
out.
the green velvet dress and
Yeah, that'll be fun. I love that. That's a great story. It's fantastic. I had no idea. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I think she bewitched him.
Yeah.
Your poor uncle needs that.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, 100%. No, you two are beautiful together.
That's so sweet. So, a story for us. You've got a lot to share. Do you want to give us a little intro into what you're going to share today?
So before I begin, I would say the whole point, my intention of sharing my journey with you all is done in honour and memory of Jasmine, also known as previously Daz. I truly believe he would want me to do this by not only helping others, such as the transgender community and their partners and families, but to also help heal myself.
Beautiful.
Oh, here we go.
Just
For my not watching, I teared up.
And for those who don't know, Jasmine was your partner.
Yes. And you've seen photographs, haven't you?
Yeah, you shared photos.
So I thought that would be easier because then it shows me and Darren at the beginning.
Yeah.
I first met. And then there's, I think there's me and Jasmine in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then there was full transgender woman Jasmine. And then the end one was with us all.
Yeah.
Where it was me, my partner, current Chris, my daughter. I think that was taken 6 months before he passed, actually. So that was probably the last photograph.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it does show, like, the journey, which when you read your story is just amazing. So I'd love to know, and if this is okay, I'm going to refer to Jazz and Darren.
See, I still do. And if I say him or her, I know Jasmine was okay with that because to us it was habit.
Yeah.
And she understood that, and she said, I'll always be Daz, like I'm Daz to my mum, or,
Yeah.
So it was no big deal to him, but when we were all out, he wanted to be known more as me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No,
around his family, he was different. So
Yeah.
if I say, I know she's not going to take offence by that. Yeah. Just to put it out there, just in case. Yeah.
So tell us, before Jazz was Jazz, can you tell us a little bit about how you guys met?
Yes. So Daz and I had both grown up in the small village in UK, but hadn't really mixed in the same circles as he was a little older than me and he'd left school. Fast forwarding 20 years, I was a single mom and my friends persuaded me to join a dating site. And I was really reluctant, really didn't want to do it. So no, I'm not just coming out of one bad relationship, I'm like coming out of 5 bad relationships.
Yeah,
I'm not doing this. And they said, no, never know, it's kind of thing. I had terrible tasting, man. And so
as we all do sometimes.
Yes. And so Daz also happened to be on the same dating site and reached out to me. And we soon worked out we already knew one another because obviously you alter and change over 20 years. So we organised a date, connected really well, and more dates followed. So Daz, back in our school days and still to that time 20 years ago when we're adult and, we've been married and had kids, he'd always been very popular. Everyone, I don't know anybody that didn't like him.
Oh.
He was very outgoing, had the most contagious laugh. I can still hear that laugh.
I love a good laugh.
Like real belly laugh,
Yeah.
Adrenaline junkie, loved kite surfing, fast cars. But as time went on, I could see a different side to him that I don't think anybody would have done. So he'd obviously softened. He was obviously feeling relaxed with me.
Yeah.
And then he sort of, he understood women really well, like too well, really, like understood their emotions and how they dressed and, he'd say, oh, that looks really nice, but he wouldn't say it in a sort of arrogant, And to me, it was great because, I hadn't really been out with a guy like that before. So it was all completely different, fresh and new to me. And then one evening, he mentioned that he had previously had 2 profiles on that dating site we were on. We were no longer on it, but he said that. And then he wanted me to hear him out as he thought I was ready to learn off his other side. And I wouldn't freak out as I'd got to know him as Daz. So, of course, I started freaking out. But here we go.
Don't freak out.
Here he comes. I thought things were going too well, as you do. And So yeah, like you would think that, because you sort of like, what am I going to hear? And then he went on to explain that since he could remember, he'd had an uncontrollable urge to dress as a female, and in Dazzy's words, he said a crossdresser, because that's what you said back then. You know, it was nothing out of the ordinary. Well, that's how he described. This had been and still was hidden from his family and friends, and only his ex-wife and 2 daughters knew. So he'd got 2 teenage daughters at that time, and I'd got my teenage daughters. So they were all about 14, 15. So in his teen years, he explained he'd been to hell and back due to being so popular and having to act up as a male 24/7. It had created in him every time he did this cross-dressing, he felt the self-loathing, the shame, the guilt, couldn't understand why he was even having these urges to do these things, because this was the 80s. Unheard of. No one mentioned it. And so, he tried to go the other extreme direction and sort of like, well, I'll do bodybuilding then and do masculine sports, thinking that would change. And of course it didn't.
Yeah.
So after he explained this, understandably, it was a lot for me to take in, because it's one of the things I was not expecting.
Yeah. What were the thoughts and feelings that you had when you had that conversation?
I was glad he was honest with me, because I knew. I think the one thing that really stuck out was he said, "I don't want to be like this. I have to be like this. I have to be her." Because people sometimes misunderstand it and they think it's your body, but it's not, it's your mind as well.
Right.
It's how their mind is connected. So that really, I felt, okay, that must be awful.
Yeah.
To have lived like that. I mean, he was mid-40s when I met him. And I can remember him as a teenager, and there was just no way you would have thought that.
Yeah.
You just would not have seen that. So he must have been really good at hiding what was really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, because he was so well liked and very popular.
Added pressure as well.
Yeah. And if it's not spoken about in the public like it is now, you don't see anyone else going through the same things. How are you meant to feel and navigate that? Like, I can imagine there would have been a lot of conflict.
There was some near misses. I remember him saying that, the only time he got to sort of dress in feminine clothes was when everybody went out, the family went out. And do you remember, like, back in the 80s, it was all Avon makeup. And he put on his mum's mascara, not realising it was waterproof.
Oh.
He didn't even know waterproof mascara existed.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, like, for days after, I mean, you know how cold the UK was? It was winter. It was like wearing sunglasses in the snow.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't understand why is this not coming off? It's just,
Wow.
So, anyway, I then asked for some photos of Jasmine. And I must say I was pleasantly surprised, because he was really good with the makeup brush. I mean, perfection.
Yeah.
To the point, later on, I let him put my makeup on, because he did it better than me if we were going out.
Wow.
It was perfection. And he would only use expensive stuff like MAC.
Yeah.
She was very high maintenance. Wigs had to be ordered online.
Yeah.
Had quite a few variety of different colours wigs. Clothes, everything was high maintenance, brand names, only wear MAC makeup. And my daughter, when she found out, she was typical teenager. Oh, that's really cool. Can I borrow her makeup then? Of course she was bothered about the important thing.
Yeah, the important thing.
She was cool with it, so that was fine. A bit later on, I told my mum and stepfather, because they're pretty laid back.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, after all the hell and back I put them through with previous ones, this is nothing. We can cope with this. We like Darren, might be complicated, but, we like him. They met him as him, so. So then I thought in my head, okay, how can I do this? How can I see Daz full as Jasmine? So the only way I felt easier for me, which really helped, was to watch Daz transform into Jazz in stages.
Like getting ready.
Yes. Yeah. And it really helped. So one night was makeup night. and we'd have a good time. We'd, have a drink of wine, put the music on Friday night. This isn't that bad, And then as time went on, I'd see the wigs followed by the clothes. Now, I know for partners out there that have been married a long time, this isn't the same scenario for them because I was introduced to it slowly.
And can I ask,
how
long had you been dating before he opened
up? Probably 3 weeks.
Very
good. 3 weeks, because obviously he'd been down this road quite a few times.
Yeah.
And he said, obviously, it's not everybody's cup of sunshine. And as soon as they found out, But I think he was making the mistake of when somebody saw him online as him, Darren, he'd say, I've got another profile as Jasmine.
Mm.
And they'd get freaked out. I mean, to be honest, I think I would have done that way. So I think I was the first one who tried a different way.
Yeah.
So he let me get to know him first, go out with him. And it did make the difference. But as I say, my scenario is probably easier to what other scenarios are out there. I mean, people have, accidentally walked in.
Yeah.
And had the shock of their life, and it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. Being with someone 10 years and then finding.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, this was a weekend thing because we both had our own houses, our own lives, work, So this soon turned into a weekend event for us, sort of thing, And I could always see it was Daz underneath, so I decided to give it another go because I knew from experience, there's worse things men can do.
Yeah.
So I tried to look at it past how can I explain?
Not surface level and
tried to look deeper into it. Yeah. So at this point, I was very aware of the questions I'd be asked when me and Jazz went out, such as the obvious: "Oh, are you lesbian then?" "No." "Are you into that kinky business then?" "No, definitely not." No, you see, because Daz was only into straight women, heterosexual women. Do you know what I mean?
This was a question I was going to sort of bring out later.
Nothing else.
Right.
So this is why you finding other women so hard.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they automatically assume you're going to be lesbian. Not that there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not. So, and that's not what Daz wanted either at the time. So,
okay,
so then, because she was a weekend kind of girl, we go shopping, clubbing, where no one knew us, but where we were always welcomed and accepted within the LGBT communities. We were always welcomed. And then Sundays, Jazz would be hung back up in the wardrobe.
I was going to say, those early days, how much time did you spend with Daz and how much time did you spend with Jazz?
So Jazz, as I said, was a weekend girl, and then Daz would go sort of on a Monday. I'd go back to my work, my home. Daz would go back to being a very manly hydraulics engineer.
So would you say you spent more time with him?
So Daz in the week.
More time with Jazz?
And then Daz in the week. So we'd go out for dinner, probably to go with his family or my family in the week, a few days. And then Jazz. I'd have my boyfriend in the week and my bestie at the weekend. So to me, I had the best of both worlds.
100%. Yeah.
So when you explain it, people go, "Oh." So it became quickly the norm for us, but still it was top secret. No one knew. Yeah. So I don't know whether that was the part of the excitement. We got this little, and it made us closer because we got this little secret, no one knew. So I think that bonded us more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something special that, just you two have.
Yeah. Does anybody remember, I have to put this in, a song by Shakira called She Wolf?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was around that time when I met him, and that was like the backing track to our lives at the time. And we used to humour that song. I was thinking, what a song to come out, there's a she-wolf in the closet. It's just like, so I haven't heard that song since I've been in Australia, but I'll probably hear it now on the way back home.
Yeah.
In the car.
Just talking to you.
Yes. Yeah. So, moving on 2 years, we married. and made a very big life-changing decision. We decided to immigrate to Australia in the year 2011. Darren had always wanted to move to Australia, but he was just waiting for his daughters to be settled. They were all going to uni. Yeah, Jade was at college, so she flew out afterwards. Yeah, so we thought we'd set up and then ready, and then she sort of followed us over kind of thing. Despite the homesickness, no end of ongoing paperwork to keep our working visas. After 2 years, we gained our permanent residency. I had been training at TAFE and got my diploma as an enrolled nurse. Daz followed on by gaining a work opportunity in engineering. So that was in Geraldton, so we moved then up to Geraldton.
Were you in Perth
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we moved up to, I think we were in Perth a few years, then we got permanent residency, then we moved up to Geraldton because we got sort of freedom then to do what we wanted. So with Daz's work, he spent a lot of time away up north. So I was seeing less of him, and Jasmine seemed to sort of not come out at all. I think because he'd lost the familiarity back home.
Yeah.
And the comfort. And we knew of no one here.
Yeah, new place, new social situations, new
community isn't the same.
These were his words. He sort of slid back into the closet. She was sort of like, we didn't see much of her. So I'd always wanted to go to Melbourne. I knew it was a different vibe over there. And I thought, I think this will bring Jasmine back out because it's going to be different. And it did. There was transgender women everywhere, but they were 24-hour women, not just weekends. They were working as women, living with women, partying as women. Yeah. Everywhere you went in the shops in Melbourne, I don't know if you've been to Melbourne, they're there. You know, no one batters an eyelid. So, that would have been about 2016.
Was that for a holiday? Or?
Yeah, just a weekend break, and then we went again because we loved it so much. But then it sort of backfired on me a little because Jasmine realised how she could live, and she just didn't want to be the weekend girl anymore, which I understood. But she wanted to go onto hormone therapy because she sort of envied the other transgender women's bodies physically.
Yeah.
But I was sort of thinking, well, where does this leave me? Because there'd always been 3 of us in our marriage, and we'd sort of managed it really well for years. But obviously, if you want to go, full transgender woman, it's gonna change you physically and mentally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't want to be a companion.
No, like best friends living together.
It's just I'm still human at the end of the day. And it was a lot of pressure because I was in Australia. No one knew. We only had a few friends. We were up in Geraldton, which you might as well be out in the sticks up there because so it went on for months, and it was just unravelling, and we were losing, our connection. And I said, look, if this is what you really want to do, then you can do it. You'll have my support, but I can't live here while, you go through this transformation, because it's just not going to be healthy for me. It's like procrastination. It's, And, I don't think Daz realised at the time how much she'd changed in personality. She'd lost that fun-loving side to her. Even the personality had sort of gone. Yeah. So after a long time and realising, we couldn't get no middle ground or agreement, we got a doctor sorted out and proper support in Geraldton to put him on the hormones, because you can't just go on them. You've got to have tests and everything. But I was concerned, and I did tell her at the time, I said, it's okay physically, but mentally your emotions are going to intensify. Yeah. And, it's hard for us as women when we go through it every day to have any sympathy. I'm sorry. Yeah. But, Jazz is, Jazz had the ideal life as a part-time woman. She just thought it was about, glamouring up and going out for, dinner and lunch and cups of tea and looking good. And no, that's not the definition of a woman. Yeah. You've got to really think about this. And, on top of that, she was approaching 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was worried about physically, because I think it's easier when you're younger to go through this. But if it's something you want to think you've got to do, you've got to do it. If it doesn't work, if you want to reverse, then that's okay as well. But if you've tried it, you've tried it, because he was always going to wonder.
Yeah, of course.
So I went back to Melbourne. Melbourne and I stayed in an Airbnb and later helped run alongside the owner. I also had two good friends, Danny and Alexi. They found me an apartment in the city, looked after me, to which to this day I'll always be grateful. They were really good to me. Jazz would fly over from time to time, catch up on the weekends, and each time I saw her, I could see the difference, physical difference, boobs, face.
Wow.
She was having laser treatment, so she wouldn't have to, do the shaving.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask too, is that something they have to,
Yes.
putting makeup on, stay quite strict
Yes.
with?
Yes.
And
even as Daz, he was blessed with the most perfect skin.
Yeah, of course.
Girls always are.
Yeah.
And because she was quite small in height, she had size. Now, our size 5 is your size 7.
Yeah.
So we'll say Australian size 7 shoe. So she had really dinky little feet, so she could fit into most women's shoes, which would be envious to the other transgender women.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to buy size 11 high heels, and it was really hard for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, she was okay like that. But as I said, the emotions were taking their toll.
Yeah.
And I said, I tried to advise you, and she said, no, I'm going to keep at it. I said, oh, okay. And so that's how it went for 6 months. I permanently lived in Melbourne and, she'd come over and catch up. And then I think further down the line, she got a job over in Melbourne and she was completely honest with them and they were going to accept her as a female in the hydraulics engineering industry, which was a big thing.
That is
of course.
So
That's
I thought,
huge.
God, she's finally made it, you know, and she was going in high heels,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is a milestone.
Yeah, and they all accepted her
Yeah.
because she got such that great person, you couldn't help but like her.
Yeah.
So they I think she was the only female in there, but they just got on with it. She just gone there to do a job, does a good job, that's it, go home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jasmine was sharing the apartment with me, but in this time Jade my daughter had my first grandson in Perth, and it was costing a lot of money for me to go back and forth. And I'd gone to Melbourne to find myself, and after about sort of 16 months I was, I'm feeling better, I know who I am now. So I went back to Perth permanently, and Jasmine took on my apartment. And I knew she was going to be okay. She got a circle of friends sorted out, got a work job sorted out, got somewhere to live. So everything was just working really well for her.
Yeah.
So I'd say she had been a transgender woman probably only 12 months. And then in the year, I think, it was the year 2020 when COVID was just hitting. Jazz hadn't been feeling well. She'd had issues with her throat and went to seek medical help. And she was given the devastating news that she had got esophageal cancer. Now, it's quite aggressive, and they say it's a smoker's one, but she hated smoking. She'd never smoked a cigarette in her life. She couldn't even stand being around smoke.
Wow.
So, and they said it the only way she could explain it to me was she said they've said it's the equivalent of stage 4 breast cancer. Which, at the time, I mean, I'm no medical expert, but I couldn't help but think, is it the hormones? Because obviously her body had changed, and I couldn't think of any other
explanation, really.
And like any family that's been given that news, you go through the shock, the disbelief, like,
Wow, yeah.
It's like the rug's been just pulled, and I was in Perth, I was with your uncle then, I've been with your uncle a year.
Yeah.
So she was really, really optimistic. They started chemo straight away, Melbourne hospitals, and they have got a fantastic health system over there. And she was fine. She changed the diet, didn't, stopped all the, drinking and going out, started looking after herself a bit better. But unfortunately, that was unsuccessful. So me and my daughter decided, Jasmine, is she better off just coming over here in Perth because she knows us and we can sort of support her? And she was just wanting to get back to Perth. So she went to live with my daughter Jade. I was still up in the hills with my partner, and we'd go and see her, and there'd be no end of doctor's appointments, treatments. It just went on and on and on, as it does, because you just try everything. And they were just all being unsuccessful. And I could see it was just really, really, really sort of taking it out of her. But the worst part of it was, and she really didn't want to, but she had to come off the hormone therapy.
Right.
So everything went in reverse.
Yeah.
So hair growth starts coming back, and the personalities, it was cruel actually to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's,
It didn't even dawn on me that you'd have to be on them forever and ever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
I've
have
never
to.
even thought
Yeah,
about that before. So that's that would be hard to watch.
because it's estrogen. It's the female
Yeah.
hormone estrogen that they have to take. So that was really cruel. But we sort of still kept painting her nails. I thought, well, you can't take that away, can you? So so we'd take her nighties in, and then as she got weaker and weaker, we had medical advice, and they said, do you know of any hospices? And I said, yeah, I've got one, a nice little one in Calamunda. It's just down the road. Can you please transfer her there? And then I can get to her every day, And so they said no problem. So I think it was in a few days they transferred her there. I was going up daily. The staff were absolutely brilliant. I said, look, you have to treat her as Jasmine. I kept bringing in the nighties and that, but at that point they do sleep a lot because of all the heavy medication. I was back and forth on the phone to family back in the UK. I'd be up half the night because obviously the time differences.
Yeah.
That was hard. My daughter was coming in, bringing up all the photos on the wall and just trying to, keep everything upbeat. But it was out in the bush, this hospice was. And we'd have all the kangaroos coming past the window, and that was just perfect. It was real there out in nature, and it was just a lovely atmosphere, and they'd have gardens with all little twinkling lights. And so I think it wasn't long, I think probably about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and I think it would have been September the 25th, 2020. So that was a short period of time, really.
Yeah.
From the beginning to the end that she passed. But me and my daughter and your Uncle Chris were all present. And when she passed, I looked. I thought, God, there he is. There's Darren.
No.
It was, and I said to Jade, I said, look, it's Darren. And it was the young school kid. It looked almost like he's a teenager.
Wow.
Because I think when they finally let go, they do have this. I think because the pain's gone, they must have this peace.
Yeah, I was going to say relax.
I've gone cold now.
Yeah.
But it's you don't get over it as anybody else would say who's gone through that, but you learn to live with it, I think. But it just seemed we went all through all that breakup for it to end like that.
Yeah.
I mean, she only got 12 months to really be who she wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I can't say, enough to anybody out there. I mean, we have seniors out there that are still isolated because they've come from a different era.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So to them, this is their norm. They just hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't socialise. They still do their thing, how they want to dress, but they do it behind closed doors. And then, probably the family still don't know. Yeah. Which I think is really sad.
Yeah.
This is a discussion we had with Abby when we were talking about her mortician work. Some people, especially elderly gentlemen, live their entire life just hiding that away, and then as their final wish that they dress them as a female, as and sometimes that the first the family know about it is when they
at the end.
Which would be huge shock.
I mean, they haven't been able to do what me and Jasmine did, go out shopping. I mean, it's really good fun.
Yeah.
It can be really good fun. I mean, it wasn't always doom and gloom, I know it was, the ending It was, but you,
sounds like
you have to do these things because this is proof that you don't know what curveballs you're going to get thrown.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. But I love the way that you took that on. It definitely shows your empathetic side that you made it as best as you could, and you took on the transition, and you guys made it fun. It was yours. You had the moment, and then you were still supportive.
But we've had some hysterical times as well.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And I know Jazz would, because she was such a laugh, and she used to laugh at herself. She used to take the mick out of herself with that contagious laugh. And, there's been some... it's been some funny times. I mean, what's that busy street in Melbourne? Goes through Prawn. Chapel Street.
Yeah.
And as you know, it's full of boutiques, full of shops, full of pubs, full of bars, everything, you name it, it's there. It's a really long road that runs through Melbourne. And Jasmine, as always, hadn't quite mastered the heels still after years of trying. Anyway, and she's all dolled up, 2 steps behind me because she's struggling with the heels and the bags, And we're going across the road, Chapel Street, halfway across, I hit this thud.
Oh, no.
And I turn round, and there she is on the floor. One shoe off, one shoe on, laddered tights. The wig's all got dismantled, so it's like half on, half off, glasses thrown off. And the traffic, the traffic came to a standstill. And I'm like, and so she just gets up, and she does, puts her head in the hair, shakes herself down, and she just hobbles across. And she's like, we're both just in hysterics, I said, well, only you, could stop traffic like that. And then there was another time, I don't know how we got to this New Year's Eve party. I don't know if we were gate crashing. It was a real, top-notch New Year's Eve party. It was a penthouse party. So how many flights up, and what you did, you watched the fireworks off their balconies kind of thing. And all dressed up, going half open the elevator. You've got your mirrors in your elevator. And she went to smile, and she went, oh, Jen, I forgot to put my teeth in. I was like, you're kidding me. We're halfway, and she's like, and all you could see was a gummy smile. But she was laughing. She wasn't distressed about it. I would have been. I think I was. But I said, how are you going to do it? How are you going to smile now? Everybody, there's all photographs and everything. She said, it'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. That was her favourite thing. I'll be okay. It won't matter. And she just carried on through the night with no teeth.
My God.
And so it's like, she got away with it. She wasn't bothered, you see. Yeah, that was just how she was.
That's incredible. Yeah. Optimistic and just a bright personality.
Yeah. I'd love to know, as you spend more time with Jasmine, did you find yourself missing Darren?
Yes. To me, this is hard. To me, I felt like I'd lost Darren twice because I was married to him, and he'll always be Daz to me. And then obviously he passed. But I felt when we came back from Melbourne the first time, I was losing him slowly.
Yeah.
But they to be fair, he couldn't see.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened was because we hadn't got family there or people that knew me, he for once didn't have to hide.
Yeah.
Hide it from anybody, so it became more, even to the point where even if he was Daz, I could see Jasmine, I could see the personality difference.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to be honest, I didn't like her. I thought, I don't think I'd like her.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to get on with her.
I did. You high maintenance people.
No. But yeah, she was very the opposite to start with to Daz's personality. She was very demure, very quiet, very shy. But then as time went on, then Jasmine
came into her own.
Yes, you'd hear her before you'd see her. She's so loud.
And you've got a special T-shirt on.
I have. I wore this because we wanted everything bright and colourful for the funeral. I said no black. So everyone wore all colours. Obviously COVID had hit, so we didn't have many people there, but obviously the majority of people were wearing colours. And this, I think it says L'amour, which is French for I love you, down there. And I've also, I forgot, this has been in the, you know how much I'm a crystal stone junkie?
Yeah.
Phrase that right. I feel how warm that is.
Oh, is it rose quartz?
Yeah.
It's a rose quartz.
Yeah.
I'm really heavily into crystal healing, and I think it rubbed off on Jazz. And I found this in her handbag when I was sorting out stuff in the hospice. And she didn't tell me she'd got this.
Yeah.
And this heart, I always placed in Jasmine's hands when she was in palliative care in the hospice till the day she left us. And when I took this home after it was still warm like that.
Yeah.
And that's been sitting in my pocket. It hasn't even been in skin-to-skin contact.
Wow.
So I thought I'll bring that today. That's never been out of the box.
If there was anyone listening to this that was maybe in a similar situation or suspects that their partner might be in a similar situation or them themselves are in that situation, what advice would you give to them?
It depends. Like I said, it depends on the situation. My situation was probably easier, but I would definitely do if you're feeling ready to be introduced. Should we say it's still them. It is really still them.
Yeah.
If you can see past it, like I could, try and do it in stages. But as I say, you've only got one earthly life. Is it really that? Is it really? That bad?
It's worth hiding.
Yeah.
What is your most favourite or memorable thing about Jazz?
Her laugh.
Her laugh.
Yeah.
Her laugh.
That's beautiful. Oh,
thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you for sharing
We
that.
managed to get through it without crying. Well, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one over here.
Even I was holding it back. Yeah.
No, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some people out there, surely.
Yeah. Definitely.
100%.
Definitely. And as you say, probably a lot of older gentlemen as well that are sitting at home now. They're not listening to that.
And I'm coming in from a different angle. I'm coming in from a partner's angle.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I think the way you have handled the entire situation is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's a very different story to what you hear. And you took it on with empathy.
Because it's not one of those things you can say, oh, you know, I was actually married to a transgender woman. I mean, obviously people are going to think, huh?
Yeah.
There's more to it.
Yeah. There is more to it. Yeah.
I bet Jazz is very glad that she opened up to you in those first few weeks. And she had the relationship that she had.
And we did have good times, you know. Everyone has their up and down like any normal relationship. And, it probably didn't end how we wanted it to end. We didn't expect how it did, but we were still good friends after that. It wasn't all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad because, you know, I was glad that I could look after her towards the end because obviously we didn't have any other family over here.
Yeah, especially during COVID as well.
Yeah, it was awful time. Yeah.
Yeah. And to have the support of your new partner as well.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, like that. That's why I sent you the last photo.
Yeah.
He got Jasmine's approval.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing the story.
Thank you.
It was really beautiful to hear, and I hope
hopefully it's going to help someone, at least somebody out there.
And I hope it was good for you to open up and share as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye. If you loved this episode, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss a chat.
And we love seeing where you're listening. Tag us in your stories at Bras Off Walls Down and let us know your favourite takeaway.
Got a question or a topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs. We love hearing from you.
See you next time.